international newspapers are saying about it now. Diptyque Laurent is here.
Well, let's look at Le Soir first of all, the Belgian paper. Their headline says Daesh, which is of course a name for the Islamic State group, attacks yet another symbol, and that symbol is French Christianity, at least according to L'Orient Le Jour, which is a Lebanese French language newspaper. They say that French Christianity is the new target for the Islamic State group. That's on their front page there.
Wall Street Journal, you found a very interesting opinion piece there.
It's called Is Europe Helpless? And I think it really resonates because that's a question everybody is asking now, not just in France, but in the wider community as well, especially given this flurry of attacks in France and Germany in the past fortnight, each with different modus operandi. You can read about it more in the journal. It's a very interesting article. Basically, the writer compares France's situation now to that of 1940, which is really the last time we were truly at war, and says, I quote, Europe today displays the same combination of doctrinal rigidity and loss of will that allowed an Allied army of 144 divisions to be routed by the Germans in just 6 weeks. For this author, it's time now to do something very drastic.
And that drastic measure could be the security system, which in a way I suppose has been inspired by Israel.
You can read about this in Politico. Correspondent Pierre Briançon says, with more attacks, France is moving more and more to the right when it comes to security. The problem with this church attack is that it happened in a very bucolic Normandy town, which really sort of hits home the idea that terror can literally strike anywhere. And for this Politico writer, the way to fight that could lie with the Israeli model of security, which is among one of the safest in the world. That would involve armed patrols in public transport, systematic checks at the front entrances of all public spaces. For one French security specialist, France could move to a life where, I quote, you can't carry backpacks in public spaces anymore.
Diptyque, you found a piece in the Daily Beast as well. This is actually looking at the psychological profile of people who carry out acts like this.
Well, the Beast is actually looking at a 2014 report that was actually into the mindsets of mass murderers and serial killers. But it's interesting because it could apply to the perpetrators of the attacks we've seen recently. They come up with different profiles that really, even if it doesn't strictly apply to terrorists, definitely gives us some insight and possibly information about warning signs. For instance, one type of psychological profile is the pathway murderer, someone who carries out extensive research, planning, preparation before an attack, and that really does resonate with the Nice truck attacker.
The other big news of the day, Hillary Clinton is the Democrats' presidential candidate.
She's shattered the glass ceiling, quote, 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 unquote. It's a watershed movement. These are the kind of sort of hyperbolic words we're seeing across the press this morning. We're seeing a lot of that language. About 200 women have sought the presidency since 1872, according to Huffington Post. And Hillary Clinton is, of course, the first one to break that barrier in Philadelphia. She actually did just that, literally appearing through a cracked glass barrier on stage.
Now, of course, that Democratic National Convention was really overshadowed at the start, anyway, by the hacking scandal. Now, it appears, apparently anyway, that we know who is behind it now.
It's been widely reported that the Democrats, at least, were blaming Russia and Vladimir Putin for trying to sort of play a hand in the elections. Now, the Daily Beast quotes another website, Vocative, as reporting that the hacker or hackers were indeed Russian and not Romanian, as it was first claimed. According to a U.S. security research group, they've traced the hacker Guccifer 2.0 back to an IP address in Russia. And allegedly, they're a collection of people from the propaganda arm of the Russian government.
I like the idea of this next piece. Hillary Clinton, of course, could well become the first woman president, but by consequence, her husband Bill, he could become the first gentleman.
That's right, the first gentleman. A very interesting article from the New York Times that looks at the potential role that Bill Clinton could play as first gentleman. He's not expected to carry out the traditional duties that first ladies do, the flowers and so forth, but he is hoping to provide advice. He's even been reading up on economic models to help his wife if she needs it, if she makes it into the White House. But for Hillary Clinton's advisors, The most important thing will be to keep him occupied, because in fact, it's only when he's bored that he gets into trouble, and this
He can do the cleaning, can't he, or something? I don't know.
He creates dangerous distractions when he gets bored. Case in point, his affair with Monica Lewinsky took place during the 1995 government shutdown, where he literally had nothing to do. So the key will be to keep Bill busy.
Okay, it's a very nice piece. Thank you, Dipti, on France 24.